In this video, I'm going to show you how I modeled this exact plant stand. Now I know a plant stand is like, kind of boring. What's so interesting about that? But I think it's good practice. And if you're trying to model every single item in your office like I am, I think it's a good one. It's very simple, it's clean, and it's just good to have in the background of a scene or something like that. So let's get into it. Okay, so now that we're in Blender, I'm gonna do a quick thing here where I open up the side panel or another window. Okay, so you can see that it's more of a rectangle shape at its core. 1, 2, 3 platforms, and then this little rail thing at the top. And the distance between these is pretty much similar between this space and that space. And then there's like, I'd say a quarter of that same space at the top. All right, so I'm not gonna be super duper accurate, but let's get that triangle, or let's get the rectangle shape in there. Now we have one of the platforms. I'm gonna grab the edges, and then extrude down. That looks good. Delete this face. Cool. 1, 2, 3. It's like platforms and cylinders. That's it. And that's why I think stuff like this is super. That's why I pick sometimes really simple things to model, because it just feels so easy to make it, so that it'd be silly not to, So now I'm beveling this, getting that look a little bit. Get a shade smooth, auto smooth here. Duplicate it down. Looks good. Get another one, and that's it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take this edge, and to get that bumper at the top, eyeballing it here. That looks pretty good, right? Let's go to extrude along normals. And that'll just extrude it like this, which is pretty good, I think, is what we want. There's a lot of vertices here being crushed. I am just gonna solve that by selecting them. And then M by distance, merge by distance. I just increase that until, oh, yucks, shucks. I grabbed all the other ones through it. There we go. Cool. So let's give this one some bevel action. I think that looks good. So now the platforms are done, all we got to do is make the legs, and the legs go straight through, which makes it easier for us. I'm going to go back into edit mode and add a cylinder. S to scale, and then press like Shift Z so that it scales on everything but the Z axis. So it keeps its height, but it scales in all the other directions. Same thing with G. Like if you want to move something along every axis but up and down, you press G and then Shift C, and it kind of limits it to X and Y, and it doesn't move it up. That's always good for like what I'm doing it for now. When I want to like if I want to duplicate something, you'll see it helps. All right, yeah, you know what? I think this whole thing can be deleted and added again. Maybe even 12. I think we can get away with 12. It's nice I try to keep these models low poly. I also believe that, and this is something I've learned through all my years of watching Ian Hubert, who's like my inspiration for all the work that I do. Your textures can really take you a long way. Using photo textures, using really high quality textures can make a, what otherwise would be like a really simple box model look like any kind of box item. It can make it look like a cardboard box. It can make it look like a sketchbook. Like you can make it look like a ton of things. A laptop with really good textures. So I don't put too much pressure on myself to get the model topology like super high. It's a little hard to work and talk at the same time. And you can see that the pipe kind of goes inside of that guardrail thing. It goes inside, so that's why I'm keeping it inside. I think that the poles can be widened a little bit, so I'm going to select them all, go up here to individual origins, so that when I scale it, it only scales like on their own origins, and thicken them up a little bit. I think it does matter a little bit. I'm going to take these at least, bring them up. Let's just adjust like that. Okay, I think that makes a little bit more sense. There are these like little feet things. They're like little rubber rings or something, and we can add that detail. Control R for like a loop cut. Slide it down here, do it over here, slide it down near the bottom. We're gonna make them line up like this. So have that one selected. Shift Alt, select this ring, and then this ring. And then if you hit scale 0, scale on the Z axis, and hit 0, it'll like squish them all on the same axis. Although it didn't work because we're not in the general scale, we're in the scale of just the individuals. So it just took the individuals and squished this. It didn't do anything. So now amongst relative to all of them, if I hit 0, you saw them adjust a little bit. Grab these edges, extrude along normals, which what we used before. That was good. Okay. Yeah. These poles have a little bit of that like shading stuff. Sometimes adjusting this a little bit can fix that. Gotta give it some color. I like to do this in cycles because I render most of my stuff in cycles anyway. So having it in cycles when I shade makes it a little bit easier. Increase the specularity, bring down the roughness to like 0.3, I think is good. So then we still get some of that reflection and some of the shadow. Let's get a different HDRI in here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So you can see this better. You can see the reflection so that it gives off that reflected paint or like glossy kind of paint. But that's it. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial or this walkthrough on how I make stuff. Hope it wasn't too long. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.